You graduated high school and then you chose University of Oregon.
Looking around, it was all yellow here in Kuwait, yeah? So I was looking for the greenest spot on the map. And I looked and I looked and I looked. I was like, that. He said, you know, you want a scholarship, right? You want to go to the United States? I'm like, yeah, of course. He's like, I'm not going to pay you one penny. Once I started, it was a one-man show. I was the CEO, the designer, the project manager. I was the marketing associate. I was sales and PR and operation manager and everything.
You said you pivoted and during Corona.
We were about to have foreclosure, but I thought there gotta be a way. So we pivoted and we became completely online and we tripled our income during Corona.
What's your advice for young entrepreneurs?
Do not fear anything. Fear is the enemy of humans. Fear is what keeps you in your place forever.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining again. Today we'll be talking with an architect. It's a different type of topic today. We're going to be talking about arts and we're going to be talking about business as well. So welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sulaiman. Thanks for the invitation. I'm really excited to talk about this. I heard really good things about the podcast and I'm ready to dig in with you.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, let's start with early life. Before you chose to become an architect, what was your hobby maybe?
We were talking in early ages, I would say about when I was about 7 or 8. I was flipping through this science book in elementary school, and I see this page. I don't know if they still exist. They've got 4 different professions with like drawings, and they'd ask you, what do you want to be? One was an architect, معماري. I liked it. I think it relates to me and it kind of touched me. Though it connected to what I actually liked. So earlier, a few years before that, when I was even younger, but I would say 4 or 5, I used to walk around in my grandfather's house and just get lost. And there are a lot of abandoned areas there. There's the annex outside where I was really interested to see what's going on behind these walls. So I would go and check if the doors are open and see what's going on there. What are these spaces? And I'll do that alone and kind of feel what goes there. And it's a strange feeling, but I would imagine things going on there. For example, there was a kitchen it was rarely used there in the annex outside. And when I opened that kitchen, it smelled old, and I saw my grandmother cooking there, and I kind of almost smelled the food there. So that I did not know what that is, but that basically just the core of architecture is when you have this imagination that just fires up once you see a space. And then I just went on and then tried to connect the dots, and I was very close to my mom. And one of these nights I told her, hey, I want to build a house for you. This was like a life goal for me. So I promised her that. I said, inshallah, when I grow up, I'll just build you the house you wanted, because she wanted this beautiful house she always talked about. And then it went on and on and on until I chose the major once I graduated from high school. In short, yani.
So you graduated high school and then you chose University of Oregon. Why did you choose this university in particular?
Well, it's a funny story because I always wanted to study abroad since my father did study in the United States and kind of got inspired by that. I really did not have a clear reason why I chose the United States versus any other country, but I wanted to do that. So there was this night I was studying for the finals of high school, and it was about 12 a.m. in the morning. And I was planning to do an all-nighter because I had a final physics test the day after. So my dad just pops in the room, and he checked me out, and he saw, and for some reason wasn't happy. Although, you know, dads are usually happy when they see you studying, right? So he's like, "Hey, Rashed, listen to me, man." I was like, "Okay." He said, "You know, you want a scholarship, right? You want to go to the United States?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." He's like, "I'm not going to pay you 1 penny." How about that? I'm like, "Thanks, Dad." That helps.
Okay.
We're going to pay you 1 penny. It's either you do it yourself, otherwise you're on your own. You're just sitting here, right? So that just fired me up. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm on my own. I'm going to do this alone here." Alhamdulillah, I graduated, got a good degree, and it was a whole story getting this scholarship. But eventually, when I went to the Ministry of Higher Education just to pick the state or the school, so looking around, it was all yellow here in Kuwait, yeah? So I was looking for the greenest spot on the map. Just where's the greenest spot? And I looked and I looked and I looked, and I was like, that. No name, even the first any time in my life reading that name, Oregon, but it was so green, and just fired up my imagination again of a land of just forests and nature, and just saw myself immersed there. I'm like, okay, nature and greenness and education, that's like the perfect marriage. I'm gonna do that. So I picked Oregon. I wasn't into the city life or like the big names, you know, the big cities. I wasn't really attracted to the busy life there. I wanted to go to this secluded space where I can focus on my studies. And that was the story of Oregon. And I did not know when I accepted there was the top school. It was the #1 school of architecture, excellence in sustainable architecture. I did not know that, and I got a merit scholarship for that, yani. But alhamdulillah, yani, it was, I guess, good luck. Blessings.
Did you remember the first day of once you landed there, once you step a foot
on the States?
On the States.
It was weird. It was weird because, you know, there's a thing where you dream about something your whole life. And I just had this vision of going there and the plane. And for some reason, it's dark in the planes, like night. And it's calm, and I arrived there. It was a strange feeling once I got there. It just felt different. And it felt very close to your dream kind of feeling. I can't describe that, but it's really strange. You have this, you know, you have these butterflies in your body and mind, and feel like I'm in the right place now. That was the first, instinct once I got there. Otherwise, troubles, one after the other, housing. And my dad was with me, and he had to leave, and it was strange. And finding a place to live. I stayed with a host family as well, and that's a whole story. But these were the first moments. I remember there's someone who's supposed to pick me up though. When I arrived there, and this guy decided to take a summer break. At the time of my arrival.
It's a surprise. Yeah.
So on my own again, you know, my dad leaves, and I'm on my own again. So it was the experience. I loved it. No regrets.
When your dad left, I remember one time you told me a story before about feeling homesick, or did you ever have that feeling before?
Yeah, that was the strangest feeling. You know, my whole life I was independent. Honestly, I did everything on my own. But then having a companion, you know, with you, going to this new place, and it's all, you know, strange. I think I got really used to having my father with me, and he just stayed for about a week. So when he had to leave, and I was excited to go to the next chapter and stuff. But once I dropped him off in the airport and went back to the hotel room, this strange feeling just happened. And it's like a crawling darkness. And I couldn't help it. It was really dark. And I didn't have any control. So I didn't know what that was. But I think I was, I just felt lonely for the first time, maybe. And then I get this call from my dad. And he's supposed to be on a plane. So he's like, "Hey, I'm coming back." I'm like, "What? Why are you coming back?" He said, hey, I missed a flight. So he stayed for, I think, about a week with me after that. And it's then when I got used to it. And the next time he left, it was easy. So I think I was homesick for about an hour.
Okay.
And never again, alhamdulillah.
So you started studying, going to class, and did you struggle with like maybe language barriers in the beginning, or with the classwork, maybe artwork and stuff? It was like different than you expected, or?
Well, yeah. I was okay with English, yani. I was okay, studying in a government school in Kuwait. You don't, you graduate superior in English. But I think that plus some video games got me in a good place where I can kind of understand when I hear it and read it. But I could not speak it for some reason. So I had this barrier where the words wouldn't come out of my brain. But alhamdulillah, that took a little bit of time where it got better. And I studied language first for about 6 months. And I got my English going and ready. And the next struggle was being accepted to architecture school, which was another language barrier, right? So since it was a top school in the United States, they required a very, very high TOEFL score or IELTS. So that took me about a year to prepare for, and it wasn't easy. And they also had other requirements as an architecture school. I actually wasn't accepted. I don't know if you know that. I was not accepted to architecture school first.
No. Yeah.
I applied with a couple of friends, and we got rejected, both of us. So these friends decided to go to other states to pursue easier, acceptance, yani. But I decided to stay and try again. And I spent the whole year taking art classes to build a good portfolio. It's what you get for architecture school in order to get accepted. Yani, the next year, alhamdulillah, I got accepted. It was an amazing moment.
And it's probably one of the first challenges that you had, and which is
one of the first challenges that was really scary.
Scary.
When you get a scholarship, you have this amount of time, and it's really hard to extend scholarships and such. So it was scary. It was a 5-year program, and I had to take language, and I had to spend the whole year just to prepare. It was like a total of 7 years. How's that even possible? But alhamdulillah, with blessings from Allah, and it just made everything easy. And I enjoyed these art classes, actually, though they were really weird. It was a liberal school, so really weird art classes. But I had fun, and I got accepted eventually. Alhamdulillah, was a huge challenge.
So what was the biggest challenge inside the, what was like maybe the hardest project or the biggest project that you worked on before?
Ooh, it was architecture school.
Yeah.
First, once I started architecture school, the pool there was really competitive, Sulaiman. These guys, graduating from US high schools, were really, really good. They got backgrounds in art or craftsmanship or something similar that got them really ready to study architecture. For me, it was a total new thing. I only knew the name. I only knew that I love it. But then you start practicing it. It was really tough. It was surprisingly tough to do one little 3D triangle. I remember spending 5 hours doing a triangle this big. Wallah. It was really tough. So I had this professor, and he was ruthless. Very brutal. And he kept telling me, hey, you're not gonna pass. This is no pass. This is no pass. You're not passing. Multiple times until I had this breakthrough. And alhamdulillah, I just flipped everything over. And then good work happened. But it required nights of non-sleep, Sulaiman. What I heard about architecture school is that people would go and have these sleep bags in studios and actually spend nights there, sleep in the studio. What I did is actually go into studio and not sleep, which is even worse, So I remember these nights I slept for an hour, half an hour only for a streak of a week or more. It was really stressful. Best, alhamdulillah, that gave me this huge push until I got this summer. I think the first summer I got, I went back to Kuwait and I took as many courses as possible just to be ahead of my class. That summer was life-changing for me because once I got back from that summer, I was completely ahead of class. I learned all these 3D softwares and rendering and stuff. So that helped a lot. So that one thing I learned is that self-study is crucial. Even if you go to the best schools, even the best schools in the world, if you don't have the skill of self-study and the passion of learning, you can never beat your class or like be even in the middle, not even ahead.
Exactly, and you have to love what you're doing. Basically,
totally.
If you're in a place where for example, I know many people that just hate their major, and that's why they're not doing well. So
yeah, and I've seen these people with great GPAs and great skills, but they did not really like it. It's either it was reinforced on them by their families, or they just did not know, I guess, the nature of it. So I remember the dropout rate was crazy. I think by the second year it was more than 50% drop off. Half of them just poof, disappeared. It's either because they could not handle the pressure or they did not love it. But honestly, whoever really had that passion for architecture stayed no matter what, even through the toughest nights.
So after all this work, you graduated and you came back to Kuwait. Tell us what happened once you came back here. What was your expectations? What did you do?
First of all, I didn't want to come back. I loved it there. The time was named Eugene, Oregon. You probably know it. Of course, you studied it. And it was just this amazing little town. Not too small, not too big. And I loved the lifestyle there. So chill and slow. The weather was perfect. It was healthy lifestyle. There was no reason for me to get back. And amazing education. So I kind of tried to stretch it. So I worked there and I looked around and say, what can I even do more? And I applied for a master's degree. It's here when I decided whether to come back to Kuwait or stay and extend more. I went through very, very deep thinking of life goals at that moment, where it's either I stretch and just stay and get more education, or get back and start my professional life. And I just figured that the academia wasn't for me. I wasn't really shooting for being a professor. For why digging too deep into the education? Just wanted to go back and just face reality and go back. So I went back, and it was tough. It wasn't easy. Getting used to the weather and the easy lifestyle and the infrastructure, and it was almost home.
And as you said, 7 years.
And 7 years, not that easy, but this is reality. It's either you face it and challenge it and get used to it and adapt. Otherwise, you can't make it. I think one of the biggest problems people have is adaptability. It's either you adapt and you're just going to be behind if you don't. So I did that, alhamdulillah, and started my career in Kuwait, worked in the private sector, worked in the government sector until I started my own business.
Okay. So before we go to the business, tell us a little bit about your experience in the private sector and in the governmental sector. I know many people that, they have experience in one place or the other. It's really rare to find somebody that has experience in both places. So can you just give us, a small
story?
Yeah,
okay.
Story here.
So I started with the private sector. I took internships throughout my study. Okay. Once I get back from the US for vacation, I never was free. I always loved doing something. So those internships made me appreciate the private sector more because it actually squeezes you, you know, it just shows the best of you and you can learn a lot from it. So once I got back, I worked in a private sector in a small firm, learned a lot from that firm. And then I had this opportunity to work in the government sector. Wasn't a ministry, was a authority. So the work there was kind of more focused, which kind of attracted me to work there. And I got there by invitation. So the management wanted me to move there because they believed in my knowledge in sustainable architecture, which actually helped a lot there. So went there, worked for about a year, and I worked just like the private sector, honestly. Yani very intense work, very dedicated, and then decided to start my own. And I was doing also freelance work throughout. Just hated being free, man. You know, this work, you know, but it's different now.
So when did this idea come to you? Did you just wake up one day and decide to open a business, or was that planned throughout maybe years?
Yeah, I always wanted to do that. Honestly, I had that in mind because as an architect, eventually you will have some firm, office. It's either you're a participant in that office, being an architect, a decision maker. I wanted to do that. I wanted to have an impact. So I envisioned having an office and where I can have my own thoughts translated into architecture. Yeah. With that, I knew it wasn't easy, and it wasn't right to start that right away. You need a lot of experience to do that. So I was really, really focused throughout the government and private sector into understanding the operation and how this actually works, how the system works, the business, not only the profession, you know, the business. So with that, plus some freelancing, gave me that edge, got me really ready for starting my own business in the right time.
How did you convince investors to come into your company and share the initial cost?
Yeah, so honestly, I did not really approach investors. Well, I did not know how this works aslan. I wanted to start a business on my own, and I had friends who were really close, and they believed in me. They believed in I can do something. They saw this enthusiasm and skills and stuff, and it was just the right time where they wanted to start a company, and they invited me in. So I just pitched in and had a share in that company and just started there. But it was really in the perfect timing. Let me tell you something just for you, Sulaiman. That time when I started a company, I was not ready for it. You know, you would imagine with my talks that I was building up, yeah? But yeah, the build up led me into this, fork, paths where I have to choose. That moment, Sulaiman, was crucial in my life because it's here when I was not ready for it. Made my system work so hard into making it happen. And subhanAllah, at the same time that happened, I get a call from friends. Hey, you want to start this thing? And it's just destiny. SubhanAllah, just in the right time. That's why I just believe in that, because things just happen right time and it's so accurate. So they called and I was like, of course, let's do this. I even not have a choice, So we started that and it was just an amazing journey. It wasn't easy though, but I'm happy to tell you the details later.
So you chose the title Project X. Tell us the story. PROJX. Tell us the story about the title.
So yeah, the title of PROJX. So my friends who started this company, and it wasn't really an official company yet, we're talking about this company to have multiple and multidisciplinary projects. So we're talking about projects all the time, projects. And it was just easy on the tongue. So we translated that into just projects, and it just sounds like projects. And we chose that to give it a very flexible and adaptive name that could work in all sectors. يعني commercial, residential, design, construction, fit out, it just works. It's all projects, yeah? So it was that. So it's just a name that came up يعني with just saying it more. And I was surprised it wasn't taken. So that was the quick story.
So once you chose the name and started, how was the journey of finding the employees and people to work for you? And
I was the CEO, I was the designer, I was the project manager or engineer, I was the marketing associate, I was sales and PR and operation manager and everything. Sulaiman, it just took me back to Eugene. You know, again, zero sleep. And I remember just spending nights, 3, 4 in the morning. I would just go, just withdraw cash, meet construction workers, give them their payments, following up, no sleep at all. Alhamdulillah, within 1 month, I was able to pay myself. And it was just a start until today. It wasn't easy.
And you said you started with yourself, but how did you bring the employees with you, like the ones that were
started hiring?
Yeah, hiring.
So I started with myself alone, and then I looked around and saw, hey, I have this demand on design, so I'm gonna hire a designer first. So I got one designer first, and then I saw a need for someone who would just follow up in sites. So I hired a project manager to follow up with sites. And it was pretty organic. It's very, very organic. More project managers, more designers, and so on. And starting from that, it was me until I had now about 15 employees in my company.
And how do you convince clients to work with you?
Clients?
Yeah.
Well, that's an amazing question, Sulaiman, because, as a start, you don't have a portfolio. What do you have? You've done 0 projects. Now, how can you convince someone to spend thousands of dinars and invest into you and believe you that you're going to do the right thing? And I just figured it's just trust. If you're honest, you can be trustworthy. And people are smart. They can sense that. They sense that you're genuine. They sense that you are trustworthy. They sense that you are actually knowledgeable and know what you're doing. And with that, if they trust you, they will sign. And I remember back then I did not have anything to show. No previous projects. But mashallah, they kept coming. And I remember not having to even show any portfolio or any previous projects I've done. It was just sitting. We just, sit and have coffee and talk. And I would just put myself in their shoes and tell them what I would do if I was in their place. So mixing that, empathy was very emotional, empathy plus credibility when it comes to technical knowledge, give this beautiful marriage that shows that you are really understanding of their needs and know how to do them. That gave them the high sense of trust. There was just a trust play.
And most importantly, keeping them comfortable, like being easy to work with. And
absolutely. At some point, you have to be agreeable in some sense. I wouldn't say it would be like a yes man, where you do everything you're told to do, because you have a role here, yeah? You have a role and you have responsibility. Being an engineer or an architect is to give them what's right. Sometimes that kind of contradicts with what they want, صح? But then you have to have the sense of flexibility and being agreeable to some extent, that to show, hey, I will do what you want and what you desire. And I know what you need. So I will do what you need, but it has to work this way. So if they feel like you have their best interest in mind, and then you have it. That was the magic in it.
And what was like the most successful project that you worked on?
والله يعني every project was successful. Even a failure was successful. I remember having so many failures. You know, if you fail every day, failures are actually what you need to be better. If you don't fail, you can never be better. But it's a matter of what you learn from the failures. So these are all beautiful projects, يعني, and they're all successful to me, no matter what, يعني, their shape, size, you know, or value. I've done, you know, 100 KD or 500 KD, and I've done more than 100,000 KD projects, and that feeling you have of accomplishing these projects are almost the same. The size never matters here. It's all about the vision and the delivery that you got to your client. You touch their needs, you give them what they wanted, and they're happy about it. This is actually the thing, the core of it.
And you, I saw the lead. You have the lead certification.
Lead certification,
Yeah.
yes.
And so most of your projects are, you know, you make sure that they are sustainable, and you care about, you know, the environment, and you put those things into consideration.
Absolutely. Yani, since this was a crucial part of my education in the University of Oregon architecture school, is that we put sustainability in our mind in every decision we make within design. And though this topic has become now, and unfortunately, a propaganda in many ways, with many companies, where they do something called the greenwashing. You just mention the sustainable term and then you're good. It's not like that. And it's never like that in projects. What we do with sustainable practices and decision is that they become the DNA of our design and our work. It's either you know about it as a client or you don't. They just become in the DNA. I think about it when I turn the house towards, you know, the facade that's less hot in the summer, and the small decisions of window sizes. Sometimes this needs a lot of education, and we have to really educate our clients about it. But if we don't, it's just there. It's in the DNA. So that's what's LEED about. And I got my LEED certification back actually in the last year of school. I was even before I graduated from the University of Oregon. I got it really early.
Do you have it for yourself or for the company? Like how does the LEED certification?
LEED certification works on yourself, on an individual. I believe they don't have a system where they will give it to institutions. It's for the architect, and it's me in this case. But since I'm the head architect in my company and I'm the CEO, so my decisions are there in the DNA everywhere. So everyone gets the benefit of it.
So tell us about like the worst day maybe in your business life. Can you share that with us? Maybe the worst month, worst day, like how maybe a problem that you had and how you overcame it. And
yeah, well, there are many bad days, right? But as we're speaking, I never thought about that, like the worst day. But I remember a story. It was one of the earliest projects when we started the fit out. So if you don't know, the fit out is commercial construction. And it specializes in mostly interior works for commercial spaces like coffee shops and gyms and stuff. So it was really starting with this business and studying things around. It's when I decided to do this project. It was I think it was a coffee shop or roastery thing, and it was my first time pricing a project.
And that's one of the things actually people think, I mean, especially in construction, cheap work is not always the greatest option. Sometimes you can find someone that is way exceptionally cheap and he can, ruin everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally. Price is never
an indication.
Never an indication. Actually, you can be, yeah, and you can be, the price can be cheap to a certain extent, but there is a limit where it's just questionable. But by experience, you get this knowledge of knowing if this is acceptable or not, or if this really that low that you can accept it for the clients or not. But by the way, and I spent doing contracting for a few years and then just pivoted and changed the concept to something else. We call it project management. So,
and it's a different way of. Can you just explain to the viewers here the difference between
the pivot?
Yeah.
So, we've worked since 2018 as a fit-out company, where we designed and executed commercial projects and residential projects as well. But then we pivoted, I think, around Corona. Okay. I think the year 2019 was the year, a little bit before Corona, is there where I understood the deep need in the market where you have to bridge the gap between design and execution. So what I saw is there are many design firms and many contractors, but there are not too many who can actually manage the whole thing for you. And the people have to suffer managing their own projects, leaning on the whole process being done by the designers and then the contractors, and having no background about it. So what I did is basically I had the contracting experience and I just broke it down into management, right? What's contracting? Contracting is management and work, صح? في workers who work, give materials and work, and there's someone who's managing them. And I figured that's us. We are the brain. So we'll be the brain. That's our strength. Where we're always on the client's side. We are always on his best interest. We're on his side and team, and we want to make this a beautiful, easy journey for them. And mashallah, and it became one of the best services we do.
And you said you pivoted, and during Corona,
صح.
most businesses failed. So you're the opposite, baby.
Wallah, mashallah, and in Corona, it was really scary, and we were about to have foreclosure. Let me tell you, it was really tough, and we had a plan of having just 3 months where we have to foreclose and just exit. But that just gave me this fire of fighting back again and finding ways. I'm like, there's always a solution, and if we can't adapt again, if you can't adapt, we can't survive. And this is harsh, I know, and it's really tough. And I feel sorry for so many businesses who went out. But I thought there gotta be a way. So we pivoted. We pivoted with the project management. We pivoted with the way we do services as well. And we became completely online. We did consultations for, and mashallah, hundreds of people online throughout the whole GCC in Corona. And we tripled our income during Corona. Tripled, not doubled, tripled. That was our best year, actually. One of the best years.
Tell us about the, teamwork inside your company. How do you put the soul of, teamwork and making sure everybody's doing his stuff and or her stuff maybe? How do you make sure that all of them are doing their part and all of them are enthusiastic maybe and they love the work? And
PROJX is quality focused. So if I have an architect or an employee, whatever the background is, that employee has to have deep understanding of people's needs. So I'm talking about technical work yet, They can have technical specialty, but to me, it does not match the human quality of the person. So the person is smart, have good energy, makes you feel comfortable, makes you feel heard and understood. This is my first go-to. Smart, social smart, emotionally intelligence, right? And then it comes the second part, which is as important, but does not come first, honestly, to me. It's a technical. But then we gather around and make this beautiful team. And our work is different than other companies. We work in teams and we work all together. It's not like where you do something and you push it onto someone else, someone else's table, and that person will take it and do it. It's that we all gather and work at the same time using our digital platforms. So they're groups. We come in and we have this drawing. The architect has an opinion, and then the structural will have his opinion, about it. And then HVAC will come in, and then also permits. And it's just beautiful how it works. Just like, a beehive. It makes work more efficient, has less errors, and finishes faster than regular firms. I think we are probably one of the fastest firms who work in design, maintaining high quality. Because of that, I think, because of that dynamic.
When you say that you focus on like emotionally intelligent employees, how do you pick that? How do you notice?
You know it.
Yeah.
You see it and you know it. I need 5 seconds to understand the person in front of me and see how emotionally intelligent this person is. It's basically human instinct, Sulaiman. It's how you feel when you meet someone for the first time. Do you like him or not? Do you like him or not? I know that could be taken as superficial or judgmental, but it's so real and it's so out there and it's so honest. If you like it, if you like this person, people will like this person as well. When I do interviews, usually just pop in, and with Salam Alaikum, I will understand. It's either come in, let's talk, and I get more interested and I ask, any further questions, and I just feel connected to this person, or not. This person will have this energy that just pushes you away, and it's just never my choice. So that's what I'm talking about. If you're talking about choice of employees, But surprisingly, Sulaiman, this also translates into this person's connection with clients and potential clients. Higher emotional intelligence person will sell more, will connect with people. People will like them, will want to work with them. And this is, I think, the essential of the essence of business. So that's how I see it, honestly.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that first impressions don't matter. They do matter a lot, especially
they do matter,
especially in sales and
absolutely. They make a whole lot of difference. Within seconds, you can either win this contract or not, just by the way you greet and treat. If you're smiling or not, are you easy to be with? Your body language, your tone of voice, the things you say. They just flip the whole game.
And people can sense if you're being fake, or you have a mask on or something. They can they can tell. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, with the beauty business, you should be genuine, but does not mean that you bring your personal issues to work. Well, that's the thing about business, is that you cannot mix that. You gotta have this face, but then it's all about emotional intelligence. It's not acting, though. People would argue with me about this. It's not that you act now when you're not feeling well at work and you just have to sell this contract. If you're down, if you're low, you cannot just win this contract ever. It's really hard. It's what you tell yourself. So if you're not feeling well today, feeling low, and you have this contract and you have to have this person sign it now and win it and sell, just put yourself in their shoes. They don't know you. They have no connection to your personal world. So why are you really casting your personal things onto them? صح? So if you have this understanding, you have empathy, and you'll be so considerate to not have that on the table with you. That by itself will make you act genuinely in front of them, and they'll feel it. So it's just beautiful. I think it should be taught. It should be taught, I think. Definitely. I don't know why they don't teach that. I think it's just because you gotta have it. I think everyone has it, but it has to be purified and and just shown with confidence.
So where do you see projects in future? Maybe in the next 5 years or?
PROJX, alhamdulillah, has been going through a lot of growth. And it's growing so much. But Sulaiman, I'm not really looking at size here. PROJX isn't about sizing up. How many companies you see size up until they blow, It's not about size up. It's about providing better service and better work. This is the growth I'm looking about. It's not even the hiring size at all. It's about being more efficient, being more aware, being better, building better, doing more in less time, saving people money and time and effort. The more I do that, the more PROJX is really growing, and this is what's actually happening now within PROJX. I told you have about 50 employees, yeah? It's been like that for a while, but we're growing. We're selling more. We have more clients than ever. Why? Because by time we're enhancing our systems and we're enhancing our ways of dealing with contracts and ways of working together where we can handle more work in less time using, advanced systems, using new ways. So that's growth to me.
And if you want to give advice for young architects or anyone that loves, drawing and maybe construction or maybe he's an engineer, where do you think they should focus on? Maybe studying more or working at a place or putting...
Oh, that's an amazing question, because unfortunately, especially in our sector, in architecture especially, people would just think that they can just graduate and then be this mega architect. It's not a bad thought. It's great to be motivated and you have this goal. But Sulaiman, I think the first step is to leave your ego aside. Just leave your ego aside. Ego ruins everything. Ego ruins careers. How many architects, amazing, brilliant students I've seen graduate, start their architectural career or engineering careers just because of their ego, is that they want to focus on rather than providing or problem solving, is that and put them in trouble and actually make them prisoners in their own level forever. Leave your ego aside. That's step one. Explore. Explore, 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 explore. Never stop exploring. The more you explore, the more experience you have. There are many engineers or architects who found out that they are into different ways of working than they thought. Architects do fashion design or design cars. Civil engineers who do project management only. Civil engineers who focus on structural, right? Structural design. And so on, so on, so on. So exploring was the way. So I advise every student, if you're a student or a young professional, is to get into internships or even part-time jobs and try things before you choose your path and grow into it. Internships gives you beautiful, best experience you can have, where you have any pressure-free time to actually see and learn until you see what you're good at. And if you're in a good company or you have a good employer, they will see your strength and guide you through. So that's step one, I think. The rest is yours. It's your decision. If you start your entrepreneurship path, my first advice for you is to not have fear. Do not fear anything. Fear is the enemy of humans. Fear is what keeps you in your place forever. So resist it. Have courage. Try. Make mistakes. Make many mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you can never progress. So leave fear aside. Have courage. Make mistakes. That's the first thing you should do. Otherwise, the rest is on you. Yeah, and it depends on your liking and your passion. You can do whatever you want after that. You'll be powerful.
Yeah, and I think like fear really controls people, and you know, many people are afraid to be judged, and that's one of the main reasons. They just hate to be, you know, vulnerable and out there in front of people, and they just want to look as perfect, you know, as possible all the time, which sometimes is just not natural. It's okay to have, like, you know, failures here and there, and
Absolutely,
it's okay to talk about them, actually.
I mean, who are you to not make mistakes? You will eventually make mistakes, but you have to take them and learn from them. Otherwise, yeah, what are you? You know?
What about entrepreneurs that are in deep debts right now, that are in huge trouble? What's the, you know, the one advice they can give them that can work for almost, you know, everyone?
Yeah, and if you're in debt, it's not the fun place to be in. Oh, there are so many who are in. But believe in yourself. Do not just abandon the whole thing. Make it work. Fix it. Do not stop here. There's so many successful stories there in the world where they have huge debts and they just turn them into beautiful profits. You know, I was one of them. In fact, once I started PROJX and I partnered up with my partners, they were already have started this practice. Yeah, it was not PROJX yet legally, but it was a practice. Yeah, and it was about 20K in debt. I didn't know about it. I did not know about it. And it was a shock when I saw the sheets. Yeah. So I had this decision where I decided where to just abandon this now and start something fresh, or actually do something about it. It was not easy, but doing something about it, fixing it, try to work yourself around it and through it, and just go on the other side, will give you this powerful feeling that you can conquer everything. If you get out of the debt, you're an amazing business person. If you can get out of it, there's always a solution about it. I don't know how big that is. Sometimes it's, you know, unfortunately you have to have your foreclosure, yani. But I think for most of the stories that I hear about, there is always this chance, but it needs persistence, and results will not show in one day. You have to persist, just persist and try and persist, and you get out of it. And alhamdulillah, yani, we're in a country where the economy is really good, and the government helps a lot. يعني في a lot of funding around us here in Kuwait, especially and the GCC as well. So there's always a way to kind of fix that. So never stop.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And feel free to drop any comments and give us advice. I'll hear anything from you guys. And if you want to join us in future, just hit me up and we can work with that. Appreciate it. See you next time.